All right, today we're diving into something really universal.
Yeah.
Something I think all of us crave deep down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's true religion.
True religion.
Not just the rituals or the beliefs, but
Right.
that real essence
Yes.
of connecting with something bigger than ourselves.
It's that universal search for meaning.
Yes.
That longing in the human heart for something beyond just the everyday,
Exactly. And what I find so fascinating is how, like, this desire, it pops up everywhere across cultures, throughout history. You see it again and again.
Yeah.
And today we're looking at some excerpts
Right.
from a spiritual text and a handful of stories
Mm-hmm.
that they paint such a vivid picture.
They do.
of this journey.
Yeah.
We're talking about Nam. Think of that as like the very essence of the divine. The living master is a guide on the path.
Right.
And satsang, which is all about the company you keep on this journey.
And, these terms, they might sound specific to like a certain tradition.
Right.
And they are.
Yeah.
But the ideas behind them, like, I don't know, there's something about them that's just like universal truth,
Yes.
It's about tapping into like that inner core of truth that just resonates with something deep inside all of us.
I love that.
Regardless of like what your background is,
That inner core of truth.
Yeah.
So let's unpack that a little bit, because our sources really dive into, like, what does true religious practice really mean?
Yeah.
Beyond all the outer stuff, beyond all the,
Right.
And one quote that I read that just stopped me in my tracks was from E. Donick.
Mm-hmm.
He said, "Love is the fulfilling of the law."
Mm.
And I just thought, whoa, there's so much to unpack
Yeah.
in that one sentence.
There is.
What jumps out to you when you hear that?
Well, it's about putting love into action, right?
Okay.
Like, it's easy to talk about love as like a feeling.
Right.
But this is about like selfless service.
Mm-hmm.
This is about how we actually treat others in our everyday lives, Like, true devotion, it shows up in our actions more than just our words.
And it's not even about like expecting a reward.
Right.
It's not like a cosmic punch card for good deeds.
Yeah.
Like, oh, be good so you can get into heaven.
Right.
It's not that kind of thinking.
It's not transactional.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of our texts actually talks about inner happiness as a natural outcome of serving others.
Yeah.
Not as the goal
Right.
in and of itself.
Yeah. It's about aligning yourself with this larger energy of love.
Oh, I like that.
This spirit of giving,
Yeah.
and just discovering the joy that comes with that.
So it's like you get what you give, but not in a transactional way.
Exactly.
It's about like tapping into this bigger energy.
Yeah.
And finding the joy in that.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It reminds me of something that Nanak read.
Yep.
You said, the spirit of religion, it resides in the heart,
right.
not in external rituals.
Hmm.
And then he paints this picture of someone like running around to graveyards, cremation grounds,
Wow.
desperately performing all these rituals, but totally missing the point.
Missing the mark. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Such a powerful image, and man, is it ever relevant,
So relevant.
It's like today we can get so caught up in like looking devout,
Right.
like going through the motions.
Yes.
Without ever really having that true
Yes.
like inner transformation.
Yes. It's like focusing on the cup that the water's in instead of just drinking the water and quenching your thirst.
Right.
And speaking of finding the right cup,
Right.
our sources introduce this idea of a living master as a guide on this path.
Okay.
You mentioned them earlier, but for someone hearing this for the first time, how would you explain what that actually means in a way that clicks?
Well, the master isn't someone to be worshipped.
Okay.
But they're more like a conduit for divine grace.
Mm-hmm.
Like a clear window allowing the light to shine through.
I love that.
Yeah, and imagine someone dying of thirst in the desert. They don't care if the water is offered in like a golden goblet or a clay cup.
Doesn't matter.
What matters is quenching that desperate thirst,
Yes.
And the master is the one who can guide you to the water.
So it's like they're not the source of the water themselves, but they know where the well is.
Right. Exactly.
And they know how to help you draw from it. I love that.
Yeah.
But then the question becomes, how do you find that master?
Yeah.
Because it's not always easy.
Right. No, it's not always obvious.
One image from our sources that really struck me was this picture 8 buckets.
Okay.
But only one of them has the real pure water in it. Right.
Yep. Yeah.
And so it's like, how do you know?
It's a challenge, right? Yeah. It speaks to the rarity of finding a truly genuine guide.
Yes.
The world is full of people claiming to have the answers, but it's like that story of Raja Janaka who searched high and low for a true master, and discerning authenticity in that spiritual marketplace.
Yes,
it's so key.
It's so key. Speaking of true masters and their dedication, our sources tell this really beautiful story about Sawan Singh.
Okay.
He was a disciple of Kirpal Singh,
right?
And at one point, he offered to take on half of Kirpal Singh's work.
Wow.
To lighten his load.
That's amazing.
And I just thought that level of commitment to guiding others is just, it's incredible.
It is.
It's really incredible.
It really highlights the depth of love and commitment
a
true master has for those who seek their guidance.
Yeah, they'll go to extraordinary lengths to help you on your path.
Beautiful.
So we've got this idea of love as action.
Yeah.
Finding a guide. But at the heart of it all is this concept of Nam.
Right.
And it's described as the very essence of God, the divine vibration.
Yeah.
But what does that actually mean?
Well, think of Nam as like the source of everything.
Okay.
The energy that sustains all of creation, you know?
Yeah. And connecting with name,
experiencing
that essence directly, that is the ultimate goal of spiritual practice.
Yeah.
All the rituals, all the searching,
it
all ultimately leads to this.
We're back. And you know, I keep thinking about that last point about name as like the ultimate goal of this whole journey.
Yeah.
But it makes you wonder, like, how do we actually tap into that? Like, it can't be as easy as just reading about it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like someone lost in the desert, dying of thirst, you know, and they're reading a book about water,
right?
Like, that's not going to quench their thirst, no matter how much they understand it intellectually. They need to find the oasis, you know.
They need to find that real source,
like a real source.
So how do we find our oasis, our connection to name?
Well, that's where the guidance
of a master becomes really crucial.
Yeah.
They can't drink the water for you, but they can point you to the source and show you how to draw from it.
So it's like learning a new language.
Exactly.
You can study vocabulary and grammar on your own, but having that teacher to guide you, to give you feedback makes all the difference.
It makes all the difference. And even beyond finding, the right teacher, our sources emphasize the importance of satsang.
Okay.
Remember that term? We mentioned it earlier. Yeah. It literally translates to association with truth.
Okay, so it's not just about finding a guide, but also like surrounding yourself with the right kind of support system too.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Satsang is about it's about consciously creating an environment that nourishes your spiritual growth. Think of a seed, right?
Okay.
You plant a seed in fertile ground versus one that you stick in like a dry, rocky patch.
Right.
Like, which one is more likely to thrive?
Right, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so satsang is like the fertile ground for our spiritual growth.
Yeah.
What does that look like in practice?
Well, it can take many forms.
Okay.
It might be attending a spiritual gathering, connecting with like-minded individuals.
Yeah.
Even something as simple as reading inspiring texts, or listening to uplifting music. It's really about being intentional with the energy that you surround yourself with.
It's about choosing to spend time with people with ideas that uplift you, that remind you of that messenger of truth inside of you.
That's in all of us. And it's especially powerful like when things get tough on the path, you know?
Oh, yeah?
Like having that support system can make all the difference.
It's like having a hiking buddy.
Yeah.
When you're trekking through unfamiliar terrain.
Totally.
They might not, carry you up the mountain, but they can offer encouragement.
Yes.
Share the load.
Yeah.
And celebrate the victories with you.
And sometimes they can give you that gentle nudge, to keep going when you want to give up.
Yes. I love that. It makes me think about that quote we were talking about earlier from Kirpal Singh.
Yeah.
About everyone becoming messengers of truth. Mm-hmm. It's like once you've had a taste of that inner transformation, you can't help but share it.
It's contagious. Yeah.
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 But you mentioned earlier that connecting with Nam is about going beyond the intellect, beyond the senses.
Yeah.
Even what does that actually feel like?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it?
Right.
It's difficult to describe in words because it's an experience that transcends language.
Okay.
You can't think your way into it. Right. It's about feeling it, mm-hmm. tapping into something deeper.
Okay, so then how do we bridge that gap? How do we go from intellectual understanding to actually experiencing name?
Well, think about it like this. You can read all the books in the world about riding a bike.
Okay.
You can understand the physics behind it.
Right.
But none of that will ever compare to the actual feeling of the wind in your hair as you ride.
So how do we get on the bike, so to speak, when it comes to name?
That's where spiritual practice comes in.
Okay.
And where the guidance of a master can be invaluable.
Yeah.
They can provide the tools, the techniques to help you go beyond the mind and access that direct experience.
So finding a true master, surrounding ourselves with satsang.
Yes.
And then engaging in the actual practice.
Yeah.
It's like a three-pronged approach.
Beautifully put.
To connecting with name.
Yeah. Each element supports and enhances the others.
This is starting to paint a much clearer picture.
Okay.
For me, I have to say. But I'm also realizing there are so many layers to this.
Yes.
And we've only just begun to
we've only scratched the surface.
Feel them back.
Absolutely. There's a depth and a richness to these concepts that we could spend a lifetime exploring.
We've talked a bit about the what of true religion.
Yeah.
Love, service, connecting with name,
mm-hmm.
and even the why. Like finding true happiness, fulfilling our potential.
Right.
But I'm really curious about the how. How do we actually take these teachings and integrate them into our day-to-day lives?
It's at the heart of it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not enough to just understand these concepts intellectually.
Right.
We have to find ways to live them, to embody them.
I'm ready to dive into that.
Okay.
But first, a quick break.
Right.
We'll be right back with more on this incredible deep dive into the nature of true religion.
Sounds good.
And we're back. We've covered so much ground already. Yes, love, service, name, satsang.
That's a lot.
It is, but the question that's lingering in my mind is how do we actually take all this amazing wisdom and actually live it? It can't just be a head trip.
Right, you hit the nail on the head. It's like we've been given this incredible map.
Okay.
But now we actually have to put on our hiking boots and start walking the path.
Yeah.
And the path to integrating these teachings into our daily lives, it starts with action.
Okay, so where do we begin? You mentioned satsang earlier.
Right.
Could that be a good starting point?
Absolutely. Remember, satsang is all about, surrounding ourselves with that energy of truth.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like choosing the right fuel for our spiritual journey. We wouldn't put diesel in a gasoline engine.
Right, of course not.
So it's about being mindful of the company we keep, the media that we consume, even the thoughts that we allow to take root in our minds.
So it's about being discerning.
Yes.
About what we allow to influence us.
Exactly.
Making those conscious choices that support our growth.
Yeah.
Just like we would choose, healthy food to nourish our bodies.
Yeah. It's what are we feeding our inner selves?
Yeah. What are some ways that we can invite more satsang, more of that into our lives?
Well, it can be as simple as seeking out friends. you know?
Okay.
Friends who inspire you to be your best self, those who share your values and encourage your spiritual growth. Or maybe it's carving out time each day for practices that uplift you. You know, whether that's meditation or journaling or spending time in nature, even listening to uplifting music or reading inspiring texts can be a form of satsang.
It's like creating this spiritual ecosystem.
Beautiful. Yeah.
For ourselves.
Yeah.
Surrounding ourselves with what helps us to thrive. And speaking of thriving, we've talked a lot about service as a key part of this journey.
Right.
But sometimes that idea of service can feel, overwhelming.
Right.
Like we need to go volunteer in a foreign country or something.
Right.
How do we practice service in a way that feels authentic and doable in our everyday lives?
You're right. Service doesn't have to be this grand gesture,
Right.
It's really about bringing a spirit of love and generosity to everything that we do.
Okay.
It could be as simple as offering a listening ear to a friend who's going through a hard time.
Yeah.
Or doing something kind for a stranger.
Yeah.
Or even just, being fully present with the people that we encounter throughout our day.
It's like that quote, be the change you want to see in the world. We don't have to wait for some external opportunity to make a difference. We could start right here, right now.
Absolutely.
With small acts of love and kindness.
It reminds me of that beautiful image
from earlier about becoming messengers of truth.
Yeah.
It's like as we cultivate that inner connection with name, with the essence of love itself, it naturally radiates outwards into the world.
It does.
Through our actions, our words, even our thoughts.
It's about letting that inner light shine through, illuminating the world around us. And it's not about trying to force it or do it perfectly. It's just about, showing up with an open heart.
Yeah, moment by moment.
Yeah.
And letting love be our guide.
Beautiful. So beautiful.
This deep dive has been truly, truly transformative for me, I have to say.
Okay.
It's helped me to see that true religion, it isn't about dogma, rituals, but about cultivating that inner connection with the divine.
That's the heart of it.
And letting it flow outward through love and through service.
Yeah, it's a journey of the heart.
It is.
And it's available to everyone,
It is.
Regardless of your background, your beliefs.
So true. As we wrap up our deep dive today, what's one final piece of advice that you'd offer to our listeners who are eager to put these teachings into practice?
I would just encourage you to start where you are.
Okay.
With what you have. Take a moment to reflect. What is one small act of love or kindness that you can offer today?
Yeah.
Who in your life could use a dose of your compassion? How can you bring more satsang, more of that positive energy into your daily routine?
What a beautiful, beautiful invitation.
Thank you.
And remember, the path unfolds one step at a time.
It does.
Be patient with yourselves. Celebrate those small victories along the way, and never underestimate the power of even the smallest act of love.
Beautiful.
This has been an incredible exploration of true religion, a journey into the heart of what it means to really connect with the divine and live a life of purpose and meaning.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
And remember, keep seeking, keep growing, and keep letting your light shine.